Hello, everyone. Tonight, I've got a story that's going to make you rethink anyone you've ever shared a room with. Yeah, the Roblox gameplay in the back has nothing to do with this. It's just something to focus on while the real horror sinks in. So get comfortable, turn your volume up, and listen closely. Because what happened to this college freshman's sleepwalking roommate is one of the creepiest things I've ever come across. Let's begin. College roommates are supposed to be unpredictable. That's what everyone told the people who lived on the third floor of Brookside Hall. You never really know who you're going to end up with. But out of all the strange roommate stories that passed through that building, none came close to what happened to a student named Daniel, who arrived for the fall semester thinking his biggest challenge would be sharing a bathroom. His roommate's name was Caleb. At first, there was nothing unusual about him. Quiet, polite, a little withdrawn, like he hadn't quite settled into the idea of being an adult yet. He kept his side of the room obsessively neat, folded his shirts with military precision, and always double-checked the locks at night. Their first week was normal. Awkward small talk, classes at different times, the usual freshman chaos. It wasn't until the second week that the sleepwalking started. The first incident happened around 2 in the morning. Daniel was still awake, headphones in, finishing an assignment, when he heard movement behind him. He turned and saw Caleb standing barefoot in the middle of the room, eyes half open, body stiff. His jaw hung slightly open, and his breathing was loud and heavy. Daniel pulled out his earbuds. "Hey, you good, man?" he whispered. Caleb didn't react. He just slowly turned his head toward the door, opened it, and walked out into the hallway without a sound. At first, Daniel laughed to himself. He'd never seen a sleepwalker before. He followed him out just to make sure he didn't fall down the stairs. Sure enough, Caleb was halfway down the hall, standing perfectly still, in front of the vending machines. He wasn't doing anything, just staring at his own faint reflection in the glass. When Daniel touched his shoulder, Caleb didn't wake up. He just inhaled sharply, like he'd been underwater too long, and walked back to the room on his own. He climbed straight into bed and lay perfectly still. In the morning, he didn't remember any of it. Everyone told Daniel that sleepwalking was harmless, normal even. Some people do it when they're stressed, so he let it go. But that was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, the sleepwalking became more frequent. 3, sometimes 4 times a week. And it got weirder. One night, Daniel woke up to the sound of whispering, barely audible, like someone trying to rehearse a secret. When he opened his eyes, he saw Caleb kneeling beside his desk chair, whispering into the empty seat as if someone was sitting in it. Daniel sat up, terrified to move or speak. Caleb's voice was soft, urgent. "I did what you said, but it's not enough. I know. I'm trying." Daniel snapped on the desk lamp. Caleb froze, turned toward him, and for the first time, his eyes looked wide open, but he wasn't awake. Daniel could tell immediately. There was nothing behind the expression, just a blank, puppet-like stillness. Then, slowly, Caleb crawled backward, stood up, and shuffled to his bed. He didn't remember that in the morning either. By the end of October, his episodes became disturbing. He started standing over Daniel's bed, not touching him, not speaking, just staring down at him for who knows how long, until Daniel woke by instinct and nearly screamed. Caleb would jerk slightly, like a video glitch, then walk away. Daniel told him about it when he was awake, but Caleb insisted he had no memory, only that he'd always had bad sleep issues since childhood, and college stress must be making it worse. But there was something else. During the day, even fully awake, Caleb started to look exhausted, empty. His hands shook. His eyes were constantly darting to corners of the room, like he was listening for something. Whenever he was alone, Daniel heard him mumbling to himself, always in the same low, urgent whisper as the sleepwalking. I'm trying. I'm trying. Okay, please just let me sleep. Midterms hit. Everyone was stressed. Everyone was sleep deprived. So again, Daniel dismissed it. Until the night it escalated into something that couldn't be ignored. It was almost 4 a.m. when Daniel jolted awake to the sound of furniture scraping. The desk chair. He sat up, heart thudding, and saw Caleb sitting in the chair facing him. Except Caleb wasn't sitting normally. He was perched on the seat, hunched forward, elbows on his knees, staring at Daniel with wide, unblinking eyes. Not sleepwalking. Awake. Daniel whispered, Caleb, what are you doing? Caleb didn't blink. His breathing was uneven and shaky, like he was terrified. They said you can see them, he whispered. Daniel felt cold all over. Who? Caleb's lips trembled. The ones that watch me. Before Daniel could speak, Caleb shot up from the chair so violently, it toppled behind him. He backed up until he hit the wall, sliding down it with his hands over his face, whispering something too fast to understand. Daniel grabbed his phone, ready to call someone. An RA, campus security, anyone. But when he looked back up, Caleb had stopped shaking. He was staring right at Daniel. Only this time, he wasn't moving, not breathing, completely still. Daniel whispered his name. Caleb blinked once. Then he said, in a perfectly calm voice, I wasn't talking to you. After that night, Daniel begged campus housing for a room change. They agreed, but the only available room wouldn't open for 4 more days. And during those 4 days, Caleb didn't sleepwalk at all. He didn't move at night, didn't talk in his sleep, didn't whisper, didn't mumble. He just lay in his bed, completely still, facing the wall, hands folded under his pillow. But there was something worse. He never went to class. He barely spoke during the day, and every now and then, Daniel would catch him staring at a corner. The same corner every time. The far upper left, near the ceiling, like something was perched there. On the last night before Daniel was supposed to move out, it all fell apart. He woke to a sound he recognized instantly. Scraping, but not furniture this time. Nails. He opened his eyes and froze. Caleb was standing on top of his own desk, one hand pressed against the corner of the ceiling, dragging his fingernails across it. Slowly, repeatedly, like he was trying to claw something out of the drywall. Daniel whispered his name. Nothing. He whispered louder. Still nothing. When he finally worked up the courage to step out of bed, Caleb spoke in a voice that didn't sound like his own. Don't stand there. Daniel froze. Caleb's head turned. Not like a person's head turns, but like it was yanked by invisible strings. His eyes were wide open. They don't like when you stand where they can see you. Daniel backed up against the door, and that's when Caleb started crying. Not loudly, just quiet, hopeless sobbing. They won't let me sleep. They keep telling me to get up. They keep telling me to watch. I'm so tired. Daniel finally approached him. Slow, careful. Caleb, come down. You're not well. We need to get help. Caleb didn't move. Then he whispered, I'm not the one who's been moving. And before Daniel could respond, Caleb's body twisted violently, like something pushed him. He fell off the desk and hit the floor with a sickening thud. Daniel ran to him, shaking, trying to wake him. But Caleb didn't open his eyes. His limbs were rigid, tense, like he was frozen mid-motion. Campus security arrived minutes later, followed by an ambulance. But the moment they tried lifting Caleb onto the stretcher, Daniel saw something he still can't explain. Even when he says it out loud, it doesn't sound real. Caleb's eyes snapped open, but not like a person waking up, more like someone pulling open a puppet's eyelids. And he whispered, barely audible, to someone who wasn't there, "I did what you wanted. Now please let me sleep." Then he seized violently until they sedated him. Caleb never returned to campus. His family withdrew him and moved him out within days. No one knew exactly what happened that night or what caused months of escalating episodes. But Daniel learned something later from one of Caleb's high school classmates. Something he wished he'd known sooner. Caleb didn't have a history of sleepwalking. He had a history of waking up in places he swore he didn't go to, of losing chunks of time, of talking to corners, of insisting someone was watching him at night. Not a person, not a ghost. Something, he had said. Something that didn't want him asleep. And whatever it was, it didn't follow him in his dreams. It followed him in his waking hours, even when his eyes were open. Especially then. If you're still here after that, you're braver than most. Stories like this hit different when you're listening at night, especially if you've got someone sleeping nearby. Thanks for sticking with me through the chaos of the Roblox gameplay. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Sleep well if you can.